record.
It's okay. It works.
Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of limit champ or lucky track dog league you run, SCCA or NASA, we don't discriminate. As long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips and tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing. And whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough, and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
Timber.
And I'm Mental. Welcome. We are Everyone Racers. Welcome to yet another Ferrari episode of our podcast. We warned you the 300s were just going to be full of Ferraris. It is episode 355. The Ferrari 355 was produced from 1994 until 99 as a heavily revised Ferrari 348. The 355 emphasized improved performance with great drivability across a range of speeds and different environments like low-speed city traffic. Now, on a personal note, my brother had purchased a pre-owned 355 Spider in 1999. A year later, I was trying to impress a girl I'd met in college. Brought her back to Georgia to see where I grew up. Took her out in the 355 with the top laid back. She was not impressed. But she married me anyway. Later, when my brother upgraded to a 360, she realized she actually liked the 355 Ferrari. So if you're not tooling around, not impressing your future spouse in an Italian supercar, well, you just shouldn't be doing that. It's a bad plan.
If you have a 355, you're more worried about these sticky buttons. Every button, the petroleum in them comes like degrades, and they're all sticky by now. You have to replace all the buttons in the whole car, and the exhaust manifolds will crack, and those are like $3,500 each.
Before you have to pay
the
really obnoxious guy who drives a better car than you to replace them after spending $3,500.
Yeah.
All the
They
above.
look cool. They sound cool. A yellow Spider would have been pretty fun. But
I like the reliability of our cars better.
Yeah,
So
it just works. Which
it's
is
true.
nice. Oh, well.
All right, what you working on, Tim?
I've been working on boats and holes. So
Boats and holes!
I had a buddy of mine come out to hang out at the camp, and he brought his new to him bass boat, which is this fun little blue flat bottom boat. And he came over to pick me up on our dock.
Okay,
So we
is
go out
it
fishing,
sparkly blue?
It is sparkly blue. It is sparkly blue. Well, he had a little incident trying to pull up to the dock and hit both of my boats.
Oh no!
Yeah. So one of them's just a little aluminum skiff. Put a big old dent in the back of that, so I had to bang that out and get some JB weld on it and bolt some things back together. But luckily, everything was pretty much just cosmetic. So I got that done. And now the trim on the motor went out. So I've got to diagnose that. From what I understand, very common are one of the regulators underneath the motor will go out. But it's had a parasitic battery drain, so I'm wondering if they're related. So I'll have to do a little research on that.
When the trim on mine was giving me trouble lately, I just undid the connections at the solenoid for the trim, which is under the cowl. And this was completely accidental that I did this, and I made it work. I was trying to figure out how the relay worked. I had the signal wire off, and I was touch the positive to it. And I was like, oh, this works every single time. Why is it bad? I put it back together, and suddenly the switch worked constantly, where before it was like push it 20 times, get it to work. So try cleaning all your connections first.
Okay,
You never know.
that is
Lasts in the
good
marine
advice, because
environment.
it didn't
like
just
cheaper.
die. It was getting finicky, and then it just stopped being finicky.
Yeah. We had this. That's what we had.
Yeah.
All right.
It would go up, and then it wouldn't come down, and it was finicky.
Really,
is
you'd
exactly.
push it. Sometimes twice, 2 pushes would work. Sometimes 20 before it would go.
It's rinse and repeat. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Everyone boaters.
And yes, and if you've got any diagnostics you want on everyone boaters.
Yeah, clean every connection in that whole system and give it a shot.
It's so funny because we just did this. This is like the last fix we did like 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
No, so
it's
the
either
spring, but
that
anyway, it's close.
or the gauge. All of the gauges came out of the boat to get cleaned and went back in. So I was wondering if maybe it's just a nest of nastiness, of wiring nastiness behind that. So I was like, well, maybe something's just not connected right, or something got unplugged back there. So I got, me and the multimeter have some time to spend with each other. So we'll get through that. And if any of you have seen the giant inflatable pink flamingo at the racetrack on either coast, that got retired from the lake, and we replaced it with a unicorn. And this unicorn's, she's a sly devil. She's escaped multiple times so far.
You got to take a ride down the lake and bring her back.
Yep. So
and this image of grumpy old people sitting on the lake first thing Saturday morning. The Burr's unicorn's loose again.
Big Bird goes by.
Wow.
When is he going back to California?
I've got one of those giant like moon pucks, concrete moon pucks that you see that people will put if they're floating docks or decks rather, something like that. They'll use these, and they have it's a braided metal loop in them that they use to carry them around in the warehouses. So I was like, oh, that's perfect. It's got a metal loop, tie the rope to it. But what I didn't realize is Uni, when the wind blows,
she already has
constantly goes in circles.
Uni.
Really slowly. Around and around and around and around. And it just literally twisted that braided metal rope until it just disintegrated and off it went.
So you need a swivel
it's like
shackle
crafty.
on a mooring.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a swivel, but I've got to do something now. So I had a couple of cinder blocks up in the garage. So I went and I grabbed those and tied those together and launched it back out in the spot. And then the night before I'm flying back to California for this fundraising event, we get the rest of the tropical storm that's coming up. And 8:00 at night, Uni just drags those blocks all the way down to the lake again. And I've got to drive to Boston at 5:30 in the morning. So 4:50, like first light, I'm in my little aluminum boat, pulling these concrete blocks up and bringing the thing back to home base again and tie it up to a tree until I can get back to work on it. So my solution is I got a couple of bags of concrete, and I was like, I need something that's not going to break to come out of the concrete. And I was like, what do I got laying around in the garage? Well, 7/8 open-ended wrench that I don't need, so I stuck that thing in there. Repurpose, reuse. So I'm just gonna tie a rope up to the open end of the 7/8 wrench, and off I go. So that's curing up in the garage
closed
right
end,
now.
you mean?
The closed end, of
I'd
course.
hope
Yes.
the closed end. Okay, good. Yeah.
Open end in the concrete.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a unicorn.
Hey,
Good
the
luck.
definition
Good
of
luck.
upcycling, using a discarded wrench to anchor your giant floating unicorn.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're the first
not
one that's
dumb
had to do it. That's what right.
Facts.
Mental, what have you been working on?
So I had a minor hernia mesh surgery. They used robots, and instead of one incision, like my last hernia surgery, I ended up with like 4. and I've recovered quicker, but for 2 days afterwards, it felt like I just back in middle school getting like gut punched and my lunch money taken away. Everything hurt. Oh, and then because they had inflated my stomach with air, I'm burping the whole time. It was kind of miserable for 2 days. The last one with just the
terrible.
2-inch slice that they'd stitched up, I was out running the next day, but yeah, this one kind of knocked me around a little bit. But now
you were all excited because you thought robots were going to be better.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
No, screw robots.
Careful, because sometimes you screw the robot, and sometimes robot screws you.
Yeah, they heard me too, so I should probably take it back.
You were just kidding, right? You're just kidding.
Right,
The Roomba,
just kidding.
The Roomba just turned on and turned around.
Skimmy's in the pool, and he just stopped and
Skimmy.
turned.
Mr. Sweepy is now just like, what did you say?
But I did recover from that one and finally got out in the garage and made a little bit of progress. We'll burn pod for next week what I'm working on, but I had to make room in the garage. And part of making room in the garage was getting one of my long-term projects that I've just associated with value, even though I have $17 into it, but I've had it for 4 years. So if anybody wants a Kawasaki Terriax 2012 side-by-side ATV that needs to have the gearbox rebuilt, let me know.
You should be able to trade that for like, I don't know, something else on
can't you go on
Craigslist.
Facebook Marketplace and trade that to somebody? That's what everyone offers you is like a
broken
broken
ATV.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And
It's part of the joke of what we use.
But if somebody locally wants, because I offered it up to our group of friends in one of our message groups, and as our good friend Corey Dickman put it, you mean it's a pile of parts that doesn't have a title? Pass. And that was offered at free, which is the price I'll give to any listener. But if not, yeah, I'll probably trade it for some other dumb idea. But in cleaning out all that stuff and moving things around, I actually came across a set of wheels for the long neglected, because it is in the pipeline, Honda project. And I, for $100, got a lovely set. It's not going to let me do this. Got a great set of Mazda Miata wheels. It's not going to, oh, for Pete's sakes. All right. It's not going to let me do it.
Oh, for Pete's sakes.
I know, for Pete's sake. So I got a set of Miata daisies, like with brand new Walmart Korean Abergrabber tires or something.
Pretty sure those won't fit on the Honda.
Oh, I'm 100% certain they will. I was trying to show the picture that's on my computer right now.
Because I thought the center bore was too small on the Miata wheels to put on Hondas. You can go the other way. You can put Honda wheels on Miatas. I've done that. Mm-hmm. I thought it was the other way didn't work.
Well, maybe because it's the Integra suspension.
It's same everything.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, well.
I just needed it to roll. And while I had it up, getting underneath it, and the front wheels were held on by 2 bolts, which were those really nice special keyed anti-theft lug nuts that I didn't have the key for. So that was a lot of fun with a hammer and a slightly smaller socket and vice grips. Got those off.
No fail in this plan at all.
No, I just bought new lug nuts and put them all on there. But I got the shift linkage swapped out. So it now has fully functional shift linkage, and we'll burrow through the gears, and I don't have to hold it in place with blocks that are attached with string, because I can put it in gear and it will stay in place. So tiny incremental Honda progress. And, but I did what Chris said, and I got in there and I unbolted the old shift linkage that was not complete and bolted the new shift linkage in place. So slight progress of that.
Fantastic. Just for reference, the Miata hub bore size is 54.1 millimeters. The Honda is 56.5. 56.1. So they may be on, but
Don't drive.
More Ugga Duggas.
sorry, 50,
Oh,
50
no.
yeah, I think, yeah, 56.1. I think that's for the EF. I haven't confirmed for the third generation, but it's
All right, let me see
usually
if I
pretty
can make
much
that
the same.
work.
So, yeah, I mean, they're there.
They're there.
That's
That's
they're
all
4
I
on
need.
100, but okay. No
And
driving.
No
Like,
driving.
not even in the
because
driveway.
It's not hooked up or anything.
Yep.
Because the rears were just space saver spares, also held on by 2 lug bolts. So anyway,
Excellent.
Okay.
clearing that
we'll
out.
see.
And then last night, our friend Steve Clayman, aka Dishwashing Fairy, was him and his lovely bride are in town. And so Vicky and I went and had dinner with them. So I got to say hi to the Dishwashing Fairy. He sends his best.
So fun.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yes.
So sorry, that was way too long of a discussion about Hondas. Back to
okay.
everyone
That's
boaters.
consumer advice right there.
It is consumer advice. There it is. Everyone boaters. Chris, what are you working on?
Yeah. Well, we went to the Cape this weekend, which is nice, and bought a new outboard. We are the proud new owners of a brand new Mercury 3.5 horsepower long shaft, actually made by Tohatsu. But this is just going to be an emergency get home motor for the Whaler. It's only 41 pounds, so it doesn't add much transom weight. And 3.5 horsepower should get it just about to hull speed, which should get us home if we really need to. So got that, left it in the shed of the Cape. I'll install it later. I want to make a protective sleeve for the transom before I clamp an outboard to it on that side.
Especially after
Anyway.
all the work you guys did refinishing it.
So much.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Hence my want to have a protective sleeve on it. I needed to refresh the 1980s vintage Husqvarna 44 chainsaw that we have so I can take down a tree. Last time I used it, it would only take a little bit of throttle and then it would bog down, so I knew it needed some carb work. This chainsaw has never, ever been opened, ever. So, yeah, not surprising. So I ordered a kit that's supposed to work. Guess what? Didn't work. So but anyway, I had the whole saw completely apart, and so I cleaned everything because again, nothing had ever been open. So everything's nice and clean and all together now. And I had the carb apart, and I tried to make the parts fit that didn't fit. Once it was all back together,
We just covered this. More Ugga Duggas.
I know.
That's all
Yeah.
it takes. Just a
No,
hammer.
it's
Ugga
it's a
Dugga, the wheel.
chainsaw.
Back me up,
didn't-
Tim. You just
the
put the wheels on
carburetors-
there. And
A couple
carburetor
thousandths
just
amongst friends.
right. The carburetor just flowed so much fuel into it that I could literally flip the saw over and pour it out of the exhaust. So that's why it won't start. Why won't it start? I don't know. So
It's not where the fuel
That
goes.
was too
That's
much
not
fuel.
where it
Yeah.
belongs.
that was too much fuel, even for a 2-stroke. So I ordered another new carb kit this time. Last time I just kind of well, that looks, yeah, okay, sure. Hopefully that'll work. This time I actually had the carb part in my hand and I could get the part numbers and make it work. So anyway, we'll finish putting that carb on together again so we can use the chainsaw. Tried to diagnose a dishwasher for our neighbors. It's a Samsung. It's broken, and it will stay broken because that's what Samsung appliances do. They don't sell parts. So I checked the easy stuff. It has power from the house. Yep. Okay. Does it get power to the board? Yep. Does it power out of the board? Nope. Okay. Great. Buy new dishwasher. Glorious.
More
Sorry.
Ugga Duggas.
Yeah. And I've been learning about tractor loader backhoes because we need to get ourselves a subcompact tractor loader backhoe. So I'm learning as much as I can about them.
This guy is
Checking
so
the
excited
market
about
out.
it.
So you mentioned that your next hobby is going to be when we talked about the.
I don't know about if I'd say hobby. It's
Tractor.
a house project that.
Oh no, he said hobby
requires-
because he's already
Okay.
obsessing over it.
I know.
No, I want to just make a good purchase. These things are not cheap.
No,
I mean,
they are not.
A
I'm
new
just gonna
they're
live in our yard.
$20,000 to $30,000. Used there, I think I can find a reasonable one in the 10 to 15 range. That's not too old and
Yes,
not too beat up and
the
be
key
okay.
to it is the one that has like the 100 different means and attachments you can put on there and John
And they
Deere,
pretty much all do.
Mahindra, and all that other kind of stuff. My
Yeah.
grandfather bought one back in the day, and literally it was the only tractor he ever owned, and it did everything. But
Like, I don't want
where's
to own
it-
this tractor forever.
yeah,
So
where's it?
Why do you
gonna
want to own it
live?
at all? Why not just rent it?
because by the time I rent it enough to do
Down
all
there.
the things I want to do, I might as well just buy one for a while and sell it when I'm done.
And it's not
Just
like
'cause
you
that would
won't have
be a couple
projects at
grand
the
worth of rental
Cape
fees.
or
Well, I don't want to bring this anywhere. It's going to stay here. It's going to
Might
do
go up
all the
the
products I need
street
to do.
if there's somebody
Well,
something that needs up the
it's got
street.
If I rent
going to
it,
tow a float in the parade, I'm sure.
no,
Tow all the ducks
not.
down to the river for the duck race.
No, doesn't need to do any of that. It needs to just drive around our little house and do the things I needed to do, which are just like, I need to make a much better parking area for the enclosed trailer and the boat. I need to dig out the patio for the hot tub. I need to deal with some drainage issues before I do either of those other things so that they don't get washed away after I do them. That's really the impetus for all this stuff.
But where's
So-
the tractor going to live? Are you going to get a shed?
This is a subcompact little tractor. This is not a big like Caterpillar. This is a
No,
little.
sure.
It'll live in the yard. It's fine.
All right, because that's
Live
like
in the yard.
$8,000
right.
just sitting out there in the snow.
We'll tell you how
so is
about
my
it.
Porsche. What do you want?
Okay, when we get it, we'll tell you about it. Let's move on. We've been on this subject for quite a while. I've been doing too much work and too much volunteer work that is like work, but I don't get paid. So let's talk about news and notes time.
I think that's the definition of volunteer.
It is.
Sometimes volunteer sound fun, and this has
It
not
always
been
sounds fun. That's how
Yeah.
they get you suckered.
Exactly. That's how the
Then you're
government
stuck.
screws you.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, remember when Ford took the Mustang name and put it on an electric SUV when everyone was like, that's the smartest move ever? Well, Ford somehow remembers it that way. I don't know why, because literally no one said that. But this past weekend at a private dealer meeting in Las Vegas, Ford CEO Jim Farley teased development work on a long-rumored four-door Mustang coupe, which is a sedan, called the Mach 4, and an off-road Baja Mustang, and an EcoBoost variant modified by RTR. I don't know who that is. Why? Because Jim Farley believes Ford should double down on a key vehicle line because their competitors are dialing back. According to Jalopnik and Autopian articles linked in our notes, in fact, the same report says Ford dealers had a peek at a new Maverick-based van. At this stage, Ford doesn't have a name for it, so why not Mustvan? That sounds good to me. I like that better than Mustang van.
Oh, Mustvan.
Van.
That is
Van.
great. That is just
That's-
rolling
Is that a
probable
Mustang?
cause.
This
Yes.
is why you're not in marketing. Chris
Must
is not a
van.
marketing
Mustang.
Instead of
person.
the time, it works every time.
Endorsed by the police union because they just have a reason to pull you over. Do you know why I stopped you? Because I'm driving a Mustvan. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, because when you must have a van, it's the Mustvan. It's great.
That is van life by force.
It comes with a bubble window and a mural with a wizard.
Just select here for the wizard option.
Exactly. You get the wizard or the buxom young lady riding a horse. That's
Or the wizard holding the buxom young lady, as he carries her to the tower or what, the altar.
yeah.
Yeah.
So many variations.
What
Jack-
is even happening?
Which we still haven't seen
You're not
anyone
even
with a
drunk.
creepy
Goodness
airbrush
gracious.
show up at a lemons race. I'm really hoping somebody will exploit that.
Yep.
Yeah. Just you could get a really good rap and just
Like
that
the
would be
Juggalo
amazing.
rap last year at MSR Houston. Yeah.
Yeah. Be amazing.
Cool.
Well, Chris Perkins at Motor1.com tells us of the new baby Lambo, the Temerario. Definitely didn't say that right. In EV mode,
Temerario,
it's a
just for
front-wheel-
you.
Tim!
Mario.
It's the
Mario.
Tim Arario.
In EV mode, it's front-wheel drive, each using 3 electric motors that augment the 800 horsepower internal combustion engine with an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. The motor at the back is splined directly to the crankshaft, which means it's always spinning at engine speed. It only has a 3.8 kilowatt battery and runs 36 pounds of boost on its 4-liter 800 horsepower V8, which apparently will spin to 11,000 RPM.
What?
This in spite of the fact that the red line for this V8 is set at a friendly 10,000 RPM, which seems like plenty. Very un-Lambo-esque, it's tall person friendly and can accommodate drivers up to 6 feet 6 inches to sit in the car with a helmet on. So if you are 6'6" and have an extra $300K laying around, get over to their website and configure yourself a new Lambo. Link is in our show notes.
I guess they realize their target market is NBA players, so that would be smart.
And
Yeah.
baseball players.
And footballers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Good.
Speaking of Ferrari, there's feedback.
We have a
or
lot of
something.
echo suddenly. Yeah. Everything that we say.
Oh,
I think it's coming through Tim's computer and getting picked up by his microphone.
maybe if
That's my
mute
guess.
Tim? No.
Okay.
There we go. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're fine.
Racing Junk has 2 of them up for sale. I'm sorry, we're talking about F355s if you missed that. Racing Junk has 2 of them for sale, and here's one that is all stock, minus the radio from the dealer Garage Kept Motors. It is a 355 F1 GTS covered in a beautiful Azzurro California paint scheme, metallic baby blue. With Ferrari red leather interior, which is the worst kind of leather interior. A 3.5 liter V8. Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh,
It's
come on.
It's
Four-house
disgusting.
red.
Yeah, you're in a Ferrari.
Oh, it's
Looks like a
terrible.
murder happened in there.
It looks like a murder happened. So I'm sorry.
Awesome
The 3.5
murder.
liter V8 sends power through the F1 automatic transmission. It has received the engine out service, which means it is asking for $139,990, so almost $140,000. I like the outside is beautiful. The inside needs paint or
Yeah.
something.
And that transmission is not good. They have
No,
not
that's a
figured that out
blown glass, fragile transmission.
yet. Yeah.
Oh, but if it's just going to sit in your front yard, then do it all day.
Well, if it's going to sit in
Or-
your front yard, you pull that top off and show off. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, but they do have a pro
Money does
membership
not account for
because they-
taste, apparently. So,
Apparently.
although
It does
here
look
that's
like
what
a
we know they have
burger.
bad taste is they ordered the automatic on the 355. And the red interior. So clearly not
Yes,
perfect taste.
but we
Bad
know the
decision.
seller has good taste because they spent the money and got the proper membership, and there are a gajillion photos.
that you can
That's
see
true.
all of the murder that happened inside.
All of the murder.
Heinz ketchup interior.
Yep.
I think it looks like a good pair of shoes.
Okay, anyway, it's upcoming races.
Champ Car has the MBM Performance 12-hour race at Thompson this weekend with a huge field of 35 cars, 12 of which are
Oh,
BMWs. Wah, wah. Track day.
Yep.
10 are Miatas. So for those of you doing the math in your head, that's 62% of the field.
So what are the other 13 cars that are not BMWs or Miatas?
Well, 2 of them are Porsches, 2 of them are Hondas. There's a dang old Camaro and a 1993 Saab 900.
That's probably the
Goodbye.
one that we were racing against in B, which Champ is the perfect place for the way they drive. So
Ooh, ouch.
oh, you're probably right. Oh, yeah.
how many 93 Saab 900s in the Northeast are racing?
Probably
these
not
kind
many of
things?
them.
Perfect
Yep.
place for them.
Yeah,
Plenty of
hope
room.
They,
They don't. Yeah.
hope they go up and just ignore the blend
Dominate.
line and just,
I
just pass everybody on
think
the side.
My experience with Champ is they also do not tolerate that kind of aggression. They're rule
Well,
book people, but
There are only
they want
35
everybody to
cars,
have
so
fun
there's
too.
there's not any room for them to hit anybody.
That's true.
Or come within 6 inches of anybody and constantly and force people to either you move or we crash. It's a lot harder to do when there's 35 cars.
Not impossible.
Not impossible. Not at all.
So you're saying
Cool.
there's a chance.
Nice.
All right, racing results time.
Champ just wrapped up a True 24 at VIR. That must
Yes,
have
they
been
did.
very fun. A was First Wheels Racing in 03 Miata. B was AOA Racing in an NC Miata. C was Rockwell Autosport in a 99 Boxster. D was Floridian Motorsports in a 944. And Open Throttle Racing was in another Miata. So in an NA, but we had an NA, an NB, and an NC all winning their classes.
Mazda, Porsche, entire leaderboard.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Domination.
All right.
No BMWs. How about that?
Yay.
Weird.
I want to point that out.
Race other cars in endurance
What?
racing. What?
That's impossible.
That's impossible.
Impossible.
Well, we had the Concours d'Elegance going on at the famed Pebble Beach, but just down the road in Santa Cruz was the Concours de Le Mans. And a big shout out to our friend Chris Overzet
And the
Buttercup.
shirt.
Whoop. There it is.
Buttercup.
Yes.
Buttercup won Worst in Show, so yet another award for Mr. Overzet and Buttercup. There is a great video out there. After the award, they get a wonderful watch, which runs better than the car, and then all of the people in the crowd hose down the car with silly foam. So Chris has got a little bit of work to do to get that stuff out of the fur of Buttercup. So
And
good
then
luck.
I
with
also
that.
believe he broke down to not far
On
from
the
his
way,
house, I
on the way
believe.
to the,
and then on the way home, I believe as well. So I think that is
that is
yes.
so Buttercuppy.
Fitting.
That's on
Very
point.
fitting.
It is. What's interesting is Jay Lamb was there for both the Pebble Beach and the actual Concours de Le Mans. So that all went over pretty well. And he had Overzet had to beat the Autopian's Pontiac Aztec, which was also there competing, and they even had the tent.
The tent. I love
David
most
Tracy.
Of them have
David
the tent
Tracy
by
had
now.
the
The ones
tent.
that are left all have the tent because they all know like what's the point of the car is to just be an Aztec and like look I got the tent.
Were they handing out blue glass?
They should have been.
Oh, folks, I apologize. I do not have listener feedback this week, and that's just all my fault. I was too busy having
your
dinner
fault.
and recovering. from
Tyler
surgery.
did comment a bit on the YouTube about something about his Miata. I don't remember. Anyway, thanks Tyler. Appreciate it.
We'll talk more about it next week. Whatever you wrote,
Yes.
it's still listener feedback. So there's that.
No one's really talking much about our Mazda episode. It was just
Yeah, they're all taking
I'm not
notes.
supposed to say.
Yeah,
Oh well.
they're currently searching for a Mazda 3 on Facebook Marketplace.
Which they absolutely should be. We literally just gave them the instructions for competitive B-class, cheap, affordable racing. So you should go back and listen to that episode if you're not. The show we sponsor, the Wrecking Yard, he listened to that entire episode and introduced his episode this week by going, man, they were talking about building it. Those guys are on. He goes, those guys and that gal, they're in it. They're doing it right now. Y'all should be listening to that show.
Great. Great.
He's a hoot. He really is.
Yeah. Check out the Wrecking Yard if you haven't listened to that one already. You know who always provides good feedback and remembers to put it in the show notes?
She doesn't always put it in a place. They're big on verbal
Direct
feedback.
feedback.
Direct feedback.
Direct
So,
feedback. Okay, there you go. I'm genuinely curious, Chrissy's mom, what is your direct feedback on the interior color of that Ferrari?
Okay.
Because we all consider you an arbiter of class and taste and style.
Do you know what her favorite color is?
Gray.
Yep. Pretty sure red's not going to go over. Just saying, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll
I've
send her a
never
picture
heard
right
of
now.
anyone's favorite color being gray before. I love that.
All yes.
All the shades.
Every I swear that's what I was
I
going to
like every shade.
I was trying to
Yep.
take that
It's
back.
gray. It's not like it's beige. There's a difference. Gray's got style.
Yes, she is very
Yeah.
stylish. I just don't think she's going to love the red interior, but I'll let you know how it goes over. How about that?
Fair enough.
All right. It's time!
Woohoo! Well, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, Tim,
I
you
spent some
started out.
time doing some research, and one of the things that I realized is that there are a lot of people that have tried to DIY their cooling systems, whether it be making their own shirts or making their own coolers or making blowers to try to blow air on their bodies or in their helmets. And the only one you shouldn't try is shirts. 100% unanimously, everyone was like, just
Totally.
spend the money and buy the shirt. So
This is
they're not that
well
expensive.
into our wheelhouse of learn from our bad decisions, because
Yeah.
the first one that think was like, you guys set up a sweatshop with Chrissy's mom and you guys made the homemade, and I
And
I remember you showed it. I'm
worked.
like, this is the coolest thing ever. And it was cool, but it wasn't.
They worked,
cool.
but there weren't. No, just buy it.
Yeah.
It was neat, but it wasn't cool.
Yeah, exactly.
It provided some cooling. It was just nowhere near as much as the good ones. Yes, sorry, we didn't. The whole thing. We're talking about all the different ways you can stay cool in the race car today. That's really. It's about you staying cool, not the car staying cool. Screw the car. You need to be cool. Yeah. All right, so Tim, what else do you find on shirts? You looked at all these different options. What is available? Because frankly, I need a new cool shirt. Mine,
I
the
do as
seam on the arm sleeve is such a gaping maw right now. I could fit my head through it, and I occasionally just stick my arm through it. I'm trying to get it. It's like, no, that's not right. And so I need a new one.
And
What
your
what is
string
out there?
is all coming out of your shirt as well.
Yeah.
The
The
piping
tube-
is coming out too.
Yeah,
And I
the
have
piping has pulled through so much that I have
definitely
to run it down my
off-white
thigh.
in a V right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine Navy shirt is now more baby blue than navy. So I'm also in
Mine's
the
still-
market. So
Mine's still black, but it started that way, so it should be okay.
It's
well,
turning
there's
gray
there's
over time.
there's a lot of options out there. Chill Out makes a shirt. Coolshirt makes a shirt. Fast makes a shirt. Ultrachiller makes a shirt. A couple of them that are kind of new. Fast makes what they call the Carbon X, which is a fire retardant material, for $360. That's pretty neat. It's got a alpha wicking material without using spandex or nylon to reduce the I'm on fire, don't melt to my body rate.
And I
That's nice.
think all of us have some Carbon X under stuff because it was on a Zook or like a
Whoop,
flash
yeah.
sale a couple years ago. Yeah.
I only wear it when it's cold. I know I probably should wear it more, but
Oh,
it's
Jeff
too hot
wears it all the
sometimes.
time. Can I interrupt this? I'm laughing if you're watching this video. Can I interrupt real quick? Going back to, I decided to text my mother right now, and I just sent her a picture of just the interior because I know she's going to love the exterior. And so I said, what do you think of it? And she says, it's very red with a lot of exclamation points. I said, do you like it? We're split on it. And she said, wasn't gray available? like, you're just gonna have to listen to the show. So I'm
Perfect
sorry to
answer.
interrupt. I know we moved on, but I just wanted to know. This is how well we know my mother that I knew that she's asking what color the outside was because I knew she would focus on how pretty the outside is.
Oh,
Not the inside. So I
That's
apologize.
incredible.
We're back to
Oh.
we're back to Coolshorts. I
Oh.
apologize.
I feel like that
answer,
could be
Mom.
if we didn't already have the help you make well-informed bad decisions, that would be our new motto. Wasn't Gray available?
Okay, I'm back to Coolshorts. I apologize for interrupting. I needed to feel like it was still
Amazing.
fairly timely. Okay,
Oh,
go ahead.
Great.
So the Fast Carbon X is pretty unique out there. Good looking shirt. All of them have 50 feet of tubing in them, so they're all pretty similar. Most of them nowadays have them running across the shoulders as well, which is new since when I purchased mine many moons ago.
As
Yeah,
well.
my Fast has it on the shoulders, and it's kind of nice to have, like
Yeah.
more cooling.
It could be bulky though. I don't know that I have a whole lot of room in my suit at my arms.
To get it over.
Because I have guns. Yes.
I'm sure.
Thanks for making us feel bad about ourselves.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Well, your kind of standard shirt, which everyone's seen, short sleeve, Coolshirt, Fast makes them. They're usually in that 160, 175 range. But one thing that I stumbled across was Coolshirt makes a hoodie, basically. So the hood comes up over the top, and it's got the tubing that runs through the hood as well. So if you've somebody that runs hot and you want that extra bit of cooling, you can go Coolshirt with the hood, or they also sell separately a Coolaclava, which is just a single piece that you can put on and connect it through. I don't know how that's going to feel under a helmet. So if anyone's tried it, please leave a comment in the doodly-doos because I'd love to hear that. And Chris has got
Dishwashing Fairy had one.
Dishwashing Fairy has one, yeah.
He got one thinking it was a great idea. He tried it once and hasn't used it since, I think, because you have to spec your helmet bigger for that to work. It seems like a great idea because you lose all your heat through your head. Like that's why you wear a hat in the winter. It's the same kind of thing. That would be wonderful, but you have to have a helmet that'll fit it.
And he's follically challenged as well. So he's got, I'm not bagging on him lest all of mine fall out. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not like he's trying to squeeze a bunch of stuff under that helmet. And so he said you got to size up your helmet. Yeah.
So if a helmet company's listening, maybe integrate that into your helmet design going forward. That could be a very nice add-up.
My row has it. I've never hooked it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
So somebody's thought of it, just haven't done it.
They haven't done it right yet, apparently.
Yeah.
The cheapest shirt I saw out there was from Paragon. They've got one for $159. Or if you really want to fire up the tubing, they've got one for $240. It's got 100 feet of tube in it. So you're basically underwater, I guess, the whole time you're driving. You better have a big ice pack because you're going to burn through some ice, I'm sure, in that. So lots of cool options. There's it's once again I found a couple of things that were totally new to me digging around, which was cool. They've got some shirts have not only the size but where you want the tubes to exit on the shirt, right or left. That could make a difference depending on what kind of car you're driving, and where you want to get things to hook up. And then
middle, it goes through the zipper.
I know, that would be amazing, right? But some race suits actually have exits in the pockets, so you can fire your tube out of the pocket.
That's a terrible idea, but okay.
People have cut holes in their pockets, which doesn't seem like a tragic idea to me as a way to get them out there. That seems fine. It's not like it's a hole in the outside of your suit that is now where you can get burned.
Right
it's through the pockets, it's
right
through the
where
layers.
your doodads are.
Well, and something about cool shirts. I've had friends race at the pro level. If you do find yourself in a fire, you can expect that water to almost flash boil. So you're gonna get burned no matter what.
That's terrifying.
But you're cold most of the time, so that probably makes, it's kind of even. It's kind of,
well, your head's because
out.
You're cool. You're reacting smarter, so you can get out of the car faster.
Good
Perfect.
answer. That's a fine answer.
Perfect.
Yep.
Makes sense.
If you are looking to stay cool or get cool when you get out of the car, there's a couple options for you in cooling vests. Elite Hybrid has a sport cooling vest. It uses 4 pockets, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, where you can insert cold packs to keep you cool while in the paddock. Sparco also makes one that has 8 packs, 4 in the front and 4 in the rear, for a cool $529. So I'm sure we'll see a Lemons team with $4 of duct tape and a shirt they got at a Goodwill with some ice packs.
Ziploc.
Do it a heck of a lot cheaper.
The blue ice packs you get at the dollar store.
Could be.
No, I think I've seen F1 drivers wearing these kind of things around. It's like, oh, isn't that nice if you have someone to do it for you? It sounds great.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where that's like another thing to keep track of. And while I say this now because I'm sitting with a blanket on my lap, I feel like when you get out of the car and it's very hot, very, very hot, and you wish that you had something to plug into, these seem like a very nice idea.
Or a tepid tub.
That too. Yes. Yep. That's not a hot tub. It seems like a nice idea. But they're seems fairly expensive though.
Very expensive.
Anyway. Okay, let's move on to shirt maintenance. So it's much easier to not do anything with your shirt. How many people have gone for an extended period of time and have done nothing to their shirts?
Most of everyone.
Does
once
a year count? Probably
once
not.
a year is probably not enough. Anyway, we went for a long time and didn't do anything with our shirts. But then you end up, if you have clear tubes, you realize how just disgusting everything is from coming in and out of there. So it's definitely one of those things where you've got to clean it. We run a bleach and water solution through the shirt. You can buy the Coolshirt brand maintenance solution for $15, which should last a while. I believe it's not. You run 2 ounces through the system, drain the shirt with adapters. The problem is that if you use bleach and water solution, my shirt and my suit have spots of bleach spots on them. So no matter how much you try to get the water and bleach out of your Coolshirt, you probably won't get it all out. So I learned that the hard way.
If you have a white shirt, it's no problem.
Great. Well, I have a black shirt and now it's purple. So there's that. Mm-hmm.
And draining the shirt properly will help as opposed to just kind of letting it dribble. And I think that's what Tim's getting at with this note is just instead of just letting it go and okay, that's fine. And most shirts have dry break fittings on the end of them, so that once the water's in it, it's in it, and you have to then put on open-ended fittings and hoses on it and blow air through it to get it to work. Or Chrissy and I ended up drilling ours apart or putting different fittings at the end of ours, so they just leak. So you get out of the car and you're basically peeing everywhere, but gets all the water out. Yeah,
it does, and that's why I dripped that bleach solution because it has no dry breaks on it. So yes, that's a thing. But at least it's clean inside, so that's all that matters. Yep. And then ours doesn't usually freeze during the winter, but there's a note on here that it could. We just keep ours in a closet in the bedroom.
Uncle Dave was saying if the cooler lives in the car, it's good to run some antifreeze through the lines in the cooler. But
because you're probably not going to take them all the way out. Sure.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just blow our lines out in the car. Usually that works. To
do the
stop
you
that problem.
fingernail on the one end and then the other one against your teeth. And
I've got extra fittings, and I just put them on there so that it actually is open, and then air gun, blow the lines. But in our car, the lines are open on both ends, so it's really easy. You could actually just and blow on it, and it'll clear it out. But definitely, if you have a pump that stays in the car, you've got to get that pump, the water cleared out of that, even because that can get damaged in the winter. The pump,
and if you live
the lines are
anywhere
flexible,
where there's humidity, the green chunky stuff that suddenly finds its way into your shirt is horrible. Tim, or you just?
I have a quick sidebar story. Sonoma, a year and a half ago, one of the guys, Jimmy from Motherfuckers, we had a marital aid that was going around, and it kept,
as one does,
thrown in different spots, and Jimmy was trying to be funny and put it like under the seat, the cover of my race seat, and right before the race, and so I tucked it away for the proper moment. And what that moment was right before he pulled away on the trailer at the end of the race. I threw it in his Coolshirt box. Well, Jimmy didn't race again until May, and he had a moldy dildo when he opened the box up. So that was a gift that kept on giving.
In this episode, Jimmy has a moldy dildo.
Wow.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's why I leave our cool shirts cracked with the latches in place so they can't close. Yeah, helps a lot.
So in addition to the
Jimmy.
bevy of products that you've seen discussed so far, and this is one of those, of course they had those. I wish I had known this long ago. Are you tired of crawling out of that car with a world-class case of swamp ass? Of course you are. I've got underwear that I just throw away after an extended session. But thanks to the research of our guy, Tim, I now know that they make Coolshirt shorts. This is a game changer.
This might change your life.
I need one of these.
Yeah.
I am to make this go and actually show up properly. There, it's not going to do it. But so
how does it hook in?
It's got the same plugs. So I'm imagining you're going to decide where the priority of cold water is.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
And so that's the primary that goes right out of the cooler. And then you take the other end, hook it to the shirt to the shorts, or shorts to the shirt.
Yeah.
And then it cycles back to the... Yes.
Yeah, you might need an extra fitting or two, but you can make that work.
I am feeling like this might make your cool water go warmer faster. That's
probably
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it will make my sweaty bits sweat slower.
It's so worth it.
You know that special feeling you get when you turn your cool shirt on now? Imagine if that's also there.
Oh, wow.
It has to be the right race. Like Thompson, where you guys were just at Thompson, and it was 96 with all of the humidity. I feel like this would have been
years past. Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah. I feel like you've got to be careful with it though, because it's like if you are really hot and you haven't been like cycling it, and you're like, man, I'm really hot, I'm gonna turn this thing on. It's that like jumping into the Pacific Ocean kind of moment.
What did you say?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! and then.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm excited about this. This is fantastic. But that's a great point. We're going to talk about coolers, and then we'll talk about various solutions, because that's always the curse at the end of the day, is your cold water is just not staying that cold.
Yep. This is not going to help.
We've got some math for that
Ooh, I love math. No,
What?
I don't love
That's a math.
math. All right.
Math is
Oh,
great.
Chris's gig of
Chris's
blasting.
gig of
There's
blasting.
that.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
Big at Chris.
Oh,
All right.
We'll let
We
Chris
will
come
have
back
links
to-
to all of
back to
this.
her. So on to coolers. I mean, there's so many options for coolers. You've got different sizes. They're, like Fast makes a 13 and a 19 quart, and it's not that much more for the bigger one. I think it was like $325 for the 13 and $355 for the 19. You've got Coolshirt. They've got one for $480 for water only, or you could get one for $558, which has got the air and water cooler adapters. But if you want to get the whole system, which has got all the tubes and everything else, that's going to run you a cool $1,500. So
that's so much.
I think for now, what most of the Lemons world is probably interested in is just the water coolers. And you've got the 19 quart from Fast. Paragon makes one also for $317. Ultrachiller's got an interesting one. They've got a 64 ounce or a 1 gallon size, and the Ultrachiller one, they have a swap out where you can. Basically, it looks like a big canister, a cylinder, and you can pop those in and out on a quick release system. So it solves the, my water is now warm and the next driver's getting in. You can pop those in and out, which is pretty neat. But they are pricey. They also have a drink system that can be integrated into it, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. And a little bit later, we'll talk about
drink the Coolshirt water.
Ew, you should not drink the Coolshirt water. Is that what
No,
you do?
no,
I'm kidding.
It's a separate canister.
No.
Totally
Didn't we
lying.
just talk about the bleach water green
Don't drink
shit
the
that we're
Coolshirt, especially after it's been on
No.
Mental's balls. No.
Separate. Swamp water.
Oh,
I'm just gonna take some water from the tepid tub and make some blocks of ice.
This is making my stomach turn.
wasn't gray available?
Does this water come in gray?
It does after a weekend. Absolutely. Sure does.
Oh.
All right. And now what are most people listening to this going to do after all that? They're going to make their own.
Yeah.
They're going to
Throw up. They're going to throw up.
DIY.
Listen
Yep,
to
for
what
sure.
Tim told you in the beginning. Experiment with the coolers and the lines, all that kind of stuff. Just buy the shirt. Buy the shirt. Don't make your own shirt. I know you think you can. And you can make one. It's going to suck.
Yeah. Don't make the Charlie Brown shirt. Buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Make a Charlie Brown cooler. It's fine.
There you go.
And
The nice thing
good
about the
success with
DIY
it.
coolers is you can make big ones, right? And you can also find one that fits in whatever space you're going to put this cooler in your vehicle. So you've got a lot of options on coolers and with shapes and sizes when you're looking at something from Fast or Paragon or Coolshirt. You're limited to the ones that they make, and most of theirs they look like what's it? Engel, I think, is the fishing company where they have the dry pack coolers that have the latches on them, the metal latches, and those are pretty pricey if you wanted to buy just one of those coolers. But what most people are doing nowadays is they're just get yourself a nice cooler. You can get all the components, and there's different ways of doing it with pumps, bilge pumps and RV pumps and all sorts of stuff like that. And if you're not a fan of like sourcing all that stuff, you can go and get your own DIY kit for $249. And that will give you all of the things except the cooler itself and the shirt. So that'll give you the tubes and the fittings and You can put it all together, buy the cooler that you want, whatever size you need, buy the shirt that you want, and have fun putting it together. They even got a couple of instructional videos on their website on how to do it. So definitely an easy way to do it. If you're going to put your own pump in, Bildge pump is one way to go. You can get those really cheap, like 500 gallons per hour. I know Uncle Dave uses a RV water pump. Be careful on the PSI on those. Those, I think most of those are rated to 70 PSI. So you might want to make sure you buy one that is on the low side. So
yeah, I can talk about this because this is what we've.
More on that.
Yes. We've tried all the different options. We started with an Igloo $20 cooler and a Walmart Bildge pump siliconed into the bottom of it, and a whole series of adapters to neck down the Bildge pump output to something that was the smaller tubes that everything else was going to use. And first off, I mean, they work, but the problem number one, they take a while to prime. So you get in the car, you turn the switch on, you're never quite sure when it's going to turn on. And it's like a nice surprise when it does. It might be half an hour though, but then it's like, oh, a lovely surprise that it's suddenly cool. That's great. Problem number two is like you're ratcheting this thing down in the car. It's, it can fall over. It fell over in ours several times and leaks all the water out, which is lovely for your feet for 2 seconds. And then it's not. And then you get black flag because you're leaking a lot of water. The coolers are usually pretty crappy. They don't stay cold for all that long. And with the pump in the bottom of the cooler, you can't use big block ice really unless you make some kind of guard for it. Like we at one point even we had a little plastic like kids bucket and we put that over the pump with some holes in it so the water could get in and out, and screwed that to the bottom of it, and it worked. Don't get me wrong, it worked. It was better than nothing. But if you have a big block of ice, it can knock the pump off. Well, blocks of ice are more efficient than the crushed ice that you get most places. So it worked. It was okay. But we then decided to go to a different system entirely, where we have the pump mounted in the car. And you started mentioning what Uncle Dave does, Tim. We all kind of just did this at the same time. You take an RV or boat to 12 volts, positive displacement, self-priming water pump. You keep it as basically low flow and low PSI as you can find, because you don't need to take a shower with this thing. You just need it to move some water. And if you get too much pressure or too much flow, it can't really handle it in the size tubing you're looking at. So I've got an example there. That's actually what we have in the car. You mount the pump straight to the car with 4 self-tapping screws, and it's 2 wires, positive and negative, and 2 hoses, one in and one out, and that's it. It's really simple for the plumbing, and that way you only need 1 pump, and then you just get multiple coolers and set multiple coolers up. You just need however many cars you have, you need that many plus 1 coolers all set up the same way, and then every driver gets in the car is responsible for their own cooler before they get in the car. So no one can complain that they didn't get fresh ice in their cooler. And if they didn't put enough, well, that's your fault. You didn't put enough ice in your cooler.
And
you
the
can
best
choose
part,
how much to use it.
If you're taking the checker, you can already have a beer in your Coolshirt cooler, locked down
In the
cooler.
Ours is in the trunk.
And then as soon
Far
as
away.
you come through the checkered flag and you're off the track and the track is no longer hot, you can open that beer.
Yep.
Not in
if
our
it's
car,
near
but
enough
okay.
to reach. Yes.
Yeah. The Slowstess has the cooler right there.
Yep.
It's the only place for it.
Yep. So I can talk more about how we attach our cooler too. Might as well. Took the coolers. We use Igloo BMX 24 coolers, which are roto-molded. They're not roto-form, they're not like the Yeti, but they're similar in that they're much thicker, have a lot better insulation. They do have positive engagement latches. They're these rubber latches you pull down to hold it closed. It doesn't have a seal, so I just took some house weather stripping and put a seal around the top of it, and it will hold it once it's shut and with a seal on it. You can flip it up; nothing will come out of it. So, and it's a lot cheaper than the Yetis. It's the Mental is showing it at Amazon. It's $85. So, and it's just the right size. It's easy to handle. It holds plenty of ice. It lasts. It's gray, so Chrissy's mom likes it, and so it doesn't show the dirt.
She has one.
She has one because we got one for her. Yep. But when your grubby hands are handling it, it's not going to get gross immediately. So you've got your cooler. You need to get water in and out of it. There is when we get onto the connector section, there's a fitting that you can then basically it's the same connector that your shirt has, but it's on a threaded fitting. And you drill a hole in the side of your cooler and thread this in with some silicone, and that lets you put two of those. That lets you have fittings in and out of the cooler. Then go get some rubber hood latches. I've got these 8-inch ones that I've used. They're like a hood latch on a Jeep or a trailer fender tie down, any of those things. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They're $13. You get two of them. You bolt the bracket, the receptacle bracket to the cooler, some long bolts and some silicone, and the base of the rubber latch you mount to a mounting board in the car, and that way every time you get in and out of the car, Tim was talking about you get these Coolshirts with replaceable modules. Well, great, here you go, replace the whole cooler. It is so much faster just to pop the latches, pop the two fittings, which we color code with duct tape so we know which one goes where, and you've got the whole cooler swapped. It's cleaner, it's faster, it's more efficient. You don't spill water everywhere. It just works really, really well. And the pump primes instantly and flows instantly. You don't have to wait for it. So the base plate, we've made ours out of several ways. Originally, we made them out of wood because it's nature's perfect composite, and it's really easy just to put a piece of plywood. Yep, exactly. What can it do? That with some angle iron, aluminum angle iron to hold the cooler in place, and bolted the tie down straps to that, and then bolted that wood frame to the car. So it doesn't add much weight, makes a sturdy platform for it, works great. Then Hamza decided he wanted to make some out of metal, so he had a batch of them run that fit the cooler just perfectly, and I welded the brackets to the side of those and then bolted that to the car. That's what we have in the Civic, for example. So some kind of mount, and the latches on the cooler, the two fittings on the cooler, the seal on the cooler, pump in the car, run the lines up. Works really well. Several people have asked me for how we actually do this. That's how, and all these part numbers and examples are going to be in the show notes that you can use to go build your own if you'd like to.
One thing in the DIY video, so he'd had two things part of his that were really cool. One of them was he has his drink bottle lives in the cooler, so he's got cold water, and he's got it just set up through it's a self-contained system, but it's in the ice water, and then he just runs a fountain pump to pump water to. He's got the helmet hookup, the Stilo hydration helmet, and he just has a fountain hook up there, and he just flips a switch and gets some cold water, which was cool. But the thing that I thought was really neat was he has a T on his system, and his is in the system right there. But I like Chris's idea of having it out, and that little valve that he turned is how he empties water. So if you are struggling with getting water in and out of your cooler and spilling it in your trunk and then getting flagged for having water, you could just have the hose run out of the bottom of the car, open it up, dump some water out, put a fresh block of ice in, and go that direction. But I think the way that 3-Pedal does it with swapping coolers is a way, way better way to go. But if you don't want to build two of them, that's a pretty cool plan B.
And if you put that outlet hose right above your hot exhaust, it's a great way for it to be steam instead of water, potentially. But that could also be a problem in the pits What's all that smoke?
It's nothing. Nothing. Don't. No.
Fine,
no
everything's
worries.
fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's probably fine. Leave it alone.
It's probably fine. Yeah. All right. Well, now you've got your cooler, you got your shirt, you got your lines, your balls are cool. Now you got to have a switch to have this thing be on and off. You can't just leave it on all the time. Well, you could, but then you're going to run out of ice before your shift is over, unless you have a really massive cooler. So you could just do it the old-fashioned way and have a toggle switch, and I'm hot, turn it on. All right, I'm good enough, turn it back off. But sometimes you get the red mist, and you're driving real fast and real hard, and you don't have time for that, right? You don't have to give your attention to that. So what we've bought and worked really well in all our cars so far is the Livewell Timer for a bass boat, essentially. And what the boats have a little tub that you put your bait in, or once you catch your fish, you put the fish in this thing to keep them alive, and it cycles fresh water into this from the lake, the ocean, wherever you are, into this little tub. And you don't need to do it all the time. You can do it every once in a while, as long as there's fresh water in there for the fish. So this is exactly what this switch is designed to do: is turn. We don't need the video. Yep. Oh, okay. Turn a pump on and off at intervals. So when you turn it on, the first click, it will run all the time. We have ones that they're constantly variable rate, and ones that are set intervals, like 1, 3, 7, I think is what we have in the Mazda, and 15, something like that, where it'll be run for 1 minute,
0,
and then it'll
off.
1 for 1 minute, and then off for 1 minute. If you go to 3, it's run for 1 minute, off for 3 minutes. 7, run for 1, off for 7, etc. So you can select your own, or you get the infinitely variable ones, which is the one that Mental's showing, the one we have linked in the notes. They're $40. They do the job that you're trying to do exactly the way you want to do it, and they work really well. We've never had a switch failure. They're easy to mount. Just drill one hole, bolts on both sides. It's 3 wires, and give it a try. Would heartily recommend.
Wholeheartedly, big fan.
In the Failbird and the Solstice, we have a speed controller. So it's just a DC motor speed controller. You can buy it on Amazon for $10. And once you throw the power on for the pump, you can set the flow rate of how much you want it to go. So if you can set it down nice and low, it'll just slowly pump the water through, so you're not burning through ice as fast. So a different way to skin the same cat. So, works good.
Yeah. I wonder how well that would work with the positive displacement pumps versus the bilge pumps. Like if it's a pump with an impeller, you just spin the impeller more slowly and it'll just pump more slowly. But if it's the displacement pump, it needs to have enough power to pump.
Yeah, it might not have
how well it would work there.
Requirement. It's probably a bilge pump solution only. I would guess that's probably true.
Yeah. Hey, but someone wants to try it. Let us know if it works. Cool.
How do you connect all this stuff?
There's so many connectors.
All of the connectors.
How do you figure out which is the right one and get it right, especially when you show up to be in a arrive and drive? How do we do that?
I'll talk about the DIY solutions in a bit. Tim can talk about the actual proper stuff that he researched.
So you've got there's a couple of things that I've found that were pretty cool. One of them was all of the Coolshirt connectors are designed to be able to be pulled apart if you yank on them hard enough, right? So if you're getting out of the car in a hurry, it will come off. It might trip you up a little bit, but it will come off. But they sell emergency release ones, and these are molded in red or have red tabs to differentiate them from the standard ones. And these have a breakaway pressure of only 20 pounds. So you can't pull them out real easy if you just fumble with it. But if you tug on it at all, it's going to come apart, and that could make a difference. And they're not expensive. They're like $10 for the male, and I think $30 for the female components.
And it's right up there with sudden surprises on the track is when that one hose comes undone and just sprays right on your crotch. Ah!
That's the cheaper way of getting the cool shorts mental.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
undo it for a little while.
Then they become instant swamp ass shorts.
Pretty much. Yes. After about 1 minute.
Yeah, exactly. They also have a rapid release kit. So basically it's in a little adapter that you plug the two tubes into, and then it has one little plastic hook that you pull on the hook, and it pushes on both release pins at the same time. So just a convenience thing, but something neat that I saw out there, that if you're fiddling around with the two little tabs, it just makes it a little bit easier if you've got a couple extra bucks to spend. US Plastics, they have an integrated connector where the two hoses meet into one plug. So you plug both of them into this one solid unit, and it will allow you to disconnect the whole thing as a unit. So the two go together as one, the two come out as one. So if you can imagine, nice. The male end is got like a molded big O piece of plastic around it, that has the two barbs that come off and everything. There's basically, they've molded the two ends together. So there's one button you push, they pop apart really easy. They come in a bunch of different sizes. So that was a pretty cool thing that I stumbled on as well.
That seems like worth it.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to buy the components anyway.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Chris?
Everybody in your team needs to have that same setup, though. I don't think it would work with alternates, but if everyone does, that looks really simple and easy.
Yeah. The other one is Freshwater Systems. They have a couple of unique disconnect options at some pretty good prices. So there's it's different variants of the standard metal tabs that you see. They've got a plastic tab, and it's still an inline socket, so a little bit unique. They're a little cheaper also. Probably cheaper means not as reliable, but if you're looking for something on a budget, or if it's something that you're not connecting all the time, it could be a good option for you.
And if you're less fancy than this, you're going to do it on your own. Which, once Tim mutes his mic, that'd be great. So, basically, go to McMaster-Carr. They have all of the things. Basically, they have all of the things. That's how McMaster-Carr works. They have everything out in the world. They're amazing. If you're anywhere in the Northeast, they'll ship to you really quickly, too. They're in New Jersey. I usually order stuff, and if I order in the morning, I usually have it the next day without paying for expedited shipping. They're very fast. They have all of these quick release fittings there. They have ones that are dry break. They have ones that are open. They will all mate together, but you need to get the ones that are going to work. The coupling size for all these, for all the shirts that we've ever bought, is 1/4. And we've always been able to get our shirts to work for the most part, but some other people's shirts have not worked with our female fittings that we have, the universal fittings. I think it were Coolshirt. No, maybe it was the other way around. There was some combination that didn't work. So my suggestion is, if you're buying these, buy extra, so that if someone's shirt doesn't work with your system, you can take their fittings off and put the fittings on that are going to work with your system with a hose clamp, and that way everyone's will work. So, yeah, hang on a second. There's a cat that's on the upper shelves of my office. I need to
That's not great.
I want to go back to full screen Chris, because I just suddenly want to see a cat like... And then Chris stepped back, fell down, just slightly bloody.
Yeah, I know. No, he wouldn't be.
To get her off the shelf.
Kitty.
So, interesting transition. Panelist Matt dropped a dog off at the house this weekend. that he had found it had been abandoned up in a state park, and then found another friend to come down from San Francisco. So
A
we're
dong
pet people.
off of it? Oh,
Yeah.
great. All right, so yes, get the quick connect fitting from McMaster. They're 1/4 inch fit. That's the fitting size. As far as the barb end, it's whatever your hoses are, but they're usually going to be 1/4 or 3/8 inch inner diameter. Most of the shirts, I think, are 1/4 inch. We usually run 3/8 lines, so we just get the fittings that work for you. They have all of the different sizes in these quick release fittings, and you can get them, like I said, either open or dry break. But it's nice to have a match set of male and female. They're going to work better that way. So just do that. But I've got in here, we've got the part numbers for both of the fittings and also the cooler fittings that we talked about earlier. And one last thing to get from McMaster is get all the hose that you need. And if you're going to use one of these positive displacement pumps that we talked about, the suction section of the hose that's only a foot long, you need to use a sturdy PVC reinforced hose for that. You can't just use the vinyl tubing. The vinyl tubing will collapse. It'll suck right down under the pressure. So get the reinforced hose. It works great. Yep.
Okay.
Love McMaster-Carr. And while you're there, just spend some time browsing, and you'll find all kinds of other random little crap that they have. He's like, oh, I never knew where I could buy that
everything.
100
thing,
of these clips. That's awesome.
Early, yeah. And you always need like one more of like the pin on your trailer that you're supposed to put through the connector so it locks, so it can't come out. Like, you need some extras because you lose those. Or hood pins. Just have extras. Right?
Always. Everyone in your
Like, we leave
team
one-
should have 4 hood pins in their pocket.
That's why we leave one clipped to the fuel trailer. Even that's like the trailer hitch thing on the fuel trailer is a hood pin
Valid.
just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
McMaster's has a really good filter and search function of their website too. I was impressed with how easy it is to navigate that.
Yes. If you're not sure what you want, just start clicking, get in the right ballpark, and then use all of the filters on the left, and it's amazing what you can find. So what other options are there? If you don't want to just do things the normal way, Tim, what else did you find that's not just the normal way of get your cool box, get your cool shirt, and go?
Well, you can buy a seat that actually will blow air. It's a ventilated seat from Next Gen, and there's 2 air ports in the back where you can hook a hose up and blow air into the seat. It seems like a pretty ineffective way to reduce the body temperature, though. I think transfer through the fire suit is probably going to be your big challenge. But if you're someone that drives your hoopty to the track and you don't have air conditioning in your race car anymore, this might be a really nice way to go.
It's an interesting idea.
We
Yeah.
sat in one.
I want one of those for an office chair.
At SEMA, I thought we saw this.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the
I-
cool shirt in the car. Like, we've got the vented seats in the Cadillac and the Mercedes.
Yeah.
The ones in the Cadillac will suck you to the seat. The ones in the Mercedes are a lot more subtle, and but yeah, they do work. I bet it would feel nice when you're all sweaty in the car. So
Totes.
Although you're wearing a comforter, so trying to get if you're wearing a shirt in a Cadillac and you're wearing a comforter and maybe a cool shirt or your underpants, you got a lot of layers to be getting through. So
it's true.
I would be wondering if that was going to actually be efficient.
Yeah, all the forum posts and everything that I read said it's a nominal help compared to what the Coolshirt stuff does. So
Right.
probably not worth the expense.
Mhm.
I wonder if you like the opposite problem. If you remember years ago at Road Atlanta, it was freezing and raining and everybody was getting into wet, cold race seats, and maybe you could pump like some hot air through there. And okay, much better. Yes.
Yep. They could run a cooling loop from your
Heater
car through your essentially through your Coolshirt system, just a loop of hose in there, and it'll provide you a hot shirt.
Yes.
That might not be bad.
Don't run straight coolant through your hot shirt. That's too hot.
No,
Oh, do not do that.
that would be bad.
And so to power a seat like that, there's a bunch of different ventilation systems out there. Custom Components has got one who I'd never heard of before, but apparently they do some pretty high-tech stuff with some big real racers. They also sell brake ducting fans and things like that. So if you're looking to spend a whole lot of money to cool things down, it's a fun website to tinker through. Coolshirt makes one. Their system, as we talked about before, is $1,500, integrated in with their water system, and it's really about getting the right tubing and getting the right motor. You're going to want a motor to pump somewhere between 135 and 250 CFMs. And the Coolshirt one, I think, is $83. And most of them are 4 inches, the motors. And if you want to get something smaller, it jumps up to like 285 for that same output on a smaller brushless motor. So the bigger ones, fine, but you need to find space for that 4-inch tubing through your car, which can sometimes be a challenge. But the ventilation systems, I think, are definitely not in the lemons world. You'll see those in maybe some other race categories because you're adding a whole lot of extra stuff, including expense, to what we're all trying to do on the cheap.
And I've seen some of these problems with these blower systems is they're pulling immediately outside air. And we make jokes about, Thompson this weekend's going to be a track day with 35 cars, but we're used to strapping in with 100 plus. So with this Allstar component duct blower that would be blowing air into my car, I'm basically blowing the aroma of burned clutch and brakes and failure and all kinds of just not nice things.
Straight into your helmet. So when you're following around the Don Gier jetted diesel and you didn't get enough of it through your visor, you can just pump it straight into your face.
Yeah. And
that sounds
that's a
terrible.
great team, but God, I hate being behind that car.
So I've got some thoughts on this about doing that better and cheaper. Is Bildge pump blowers, or not Bildge pump blowers, Bildge blowers. They look almost identical to this Allstar one. Actually, it's about the same price as that Allstar one too. But if you can't get that one, Bildge blowers, they've got 3 and 4 inch models. They're like $30. And I think you could do better on the intake side. Your car came with a air box, right? You're probably not keeping that because you're going to put on some performance intake. But
Like
that stock air box hose and box and filter, you can put on the intake side of one of these pumps and use the stock panel filter, and you can get really nice high quality filters for those, and that'll filter all the air coming through so you don't get as much of that diesel fume or that bee that flies at the car won't get stuck in there too. And it's free and came with your car. So there's a potential, or you just stick
maybe
a cone
put a little
filter
air
on it.
freshener in there, little Febreze,
Yep.
rose pedal.
Don't put a
Peppermint
K&N
oil
filter
in the
on that
filter.
side. You don't want the oil coming through it, but that's okay. Or you can do it the really old-fashioned way and use just some dryer hosing that sticks out the window, but put a screen on it because you never know what you're going to get through that.
Somebody's car parts just coming through right
Yeah,
there.
you're getting something chunky that you don't want. 100%.
Uncle Dave's got some of that. He's got just some HVAC, 3-inch piping for for like exhaust fan kind of stuff, and you get the 90-degree elbows, and you stick that out the window, and it blows at the driver. It will absolutely blow cooler air at you than what you're getting. So there are really cheap solutions to this too.
Marbles
And rock bolt. Put a screen. Go on, a screen and a hose clamp on the inflow, and it'll stop most of that. And as long as it's not going straight into your helmet, then you're doing okay.
Yeah,
But are
just
you
some
dead?
fresh air in the cabin is a nice thing for sure. Or just drive a convertible, and then you have to worry about it.
Yep.
Boom.
Sure.
Backed up. Oh.
Excellent. What do we have left on this stuff?
I think this last bit, something about the heckler. Now, it's on an old
You
lemons
like maths,
forum.
Matt, so why don't you try this? Yeah, perfect.
Exactly. This, if I can explain this, then it might
Okay.
make sense. So,
Georgia Public Education. Here we go.
at Nebraska State School, at rest, doing nothing, a person consumes energy at about 100 watts. Moderate effort, dancing, or racing conservatively is closer to 250 watts. And true exercise, like sports or racing a manual steering, ill-handling beast, is about 400 watts. Yes, I'm following all of this. And these are typical for 185-pound male human being. 400 watts for 1 hour will burn about 9 pounds of ice into a bunch of very warm water. And that is the rate of ice used in a Coolshirt. Now, most of us are shooting for 90 minutes to 2 hours in every car to try and be competitive. So you need 18 pounds-ish of ice. Am I making sense on this one?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So
Yes.
it's 1 British thermal unit to melt 1 pound of ice, and 144 British thermal units is 43 watt hours. So
Which is it's 144 BTU. to melt a pound
144
of ice.
British thermal
Oh,
units. Sorry.
Yes.
400/43 equals 9.3 pounds of ice melted. So the heat gain from the car interior and this person doing this driving needs to dump about 400 watts continuously to stay cool, which is what they see experimentally at about 100 degrees in Houston in July. So a good 20 pounds of ice in a cooler will keep you going for a stint.
Okay. No problem there.
Yeah. And we've tried all the different ways of having ice. You know, the bag you buy at the Wawa with just the crushed ice you dump in. Well, that it's very cold at first, and then it goes away quickly.
Very quickly.
We've tried the like frozen gallon jug, which seems like this is great. It's a whole gallon. It's frozen. It's already there. Well, it's great at first, and then once most of the ice is melted, you're just left with a cold water with an ice cube in the middle that's nowhere near where you want it to be. So it's no longer really transferring the heat out to the water anymore, and it takes up a lot of room. So that doesn't work. Big blocks seem to be where it's at. We have great luck with buying these 12-pound blocks at our local beer distributor. Is one of the places that actually has them. They're very hard to find, so we buy 10 of them before a race weekend, and that's a good start. Uncle Dave takes half-gallon milk containers, and when he's done with them, cleans them all out and fills them with water, and before he gets in the car, cuts the cardboard off of the half-gallon milk container and dumps that in to have DIY big block ice. So
And
anyway,
that I
you can
do
make a big
understand because
block.
it's a function of surface area. Because the water, the more ice the water has to go across, the cooler the water gets.
So you got to
But it
find the
has to
happy
flow.
medium,
Right.
right? The bag of crushed ice has lots of surface area.
But it doesn't
it also
flow
doesn't take-
well, and it
It doesn't take much to melt it.
overpowers the little tiny ice cubes. Yeah.
Yeah. So give it a
So
shot.
something that I've done is I'll do just bags, like Ziploc bags, and fill those with water and freeze those. And then I have just a little dorm fridge that I have in the trailer, and I bring it out and I'll plug that in, and then I'll refreeze each night more just bags of Ziplocs. And before you go and you put them, you rip the bags off and you slap the chunk of ice in the cooler, and off you go. So it's similar to what Dave's doing, but it's easier to kind of shove them all in a little dorm fridge because they'll make their own size and whatever they need.
Yep. I'm just waiting for someone to get a 12-volt refrigeration pump, which they make for tractor
Oh,
trailers
the,
and boats and all kinds of things like that.
Hella shitty.
Yeah,
Did it.
I'm sure. Yes, hella shitty did. But someone who was not professional
Normal.
engineers who do a really
Normal
fantastic job. Right.
Normal dumb people.
Right. To do that, like the Chris Egan window unit garage Coolshort cooler,
which
that
is
so
epic
amazing.
and amazing. And
Yeah.
where is he? When every time I get out of the car and I'm like, what is he here?
Where's
Oh,
Chris
he's
Egan?
not
Yeah.
here. Oh,
Chris, that's worth an explanation. Why don't you go in a little more detail on that?
All right. So our Northeast racer, Chris Egan, he's an engineer. He took a cooler and the cheapest window air conditioner he could find and put them together. So the condensing coil on the inside of that provides the cool in the cool air in the air conditioner is stuck into a cooler full of water. The rest of the air conditioner, which is the compressor and the actually that's the condenser. It's on the outside. What's the part on the inside? The evaporator. The evaporator's in the water. The condenser's on the outside. The fan, the compressor, all on the outside. And so the coolness is being sent into the water on the cooler, and the hot air and all of the rest of it is on the outside, and it's on a thermal switch, so it goes down to about 38 degrees, and it's got 4 sets of ports on the outside of this cooler, so people can just plug in, and it's amazing. Yeah, it's fantastic. He praises to Thompson, and before and after your shift, you just go stand over in their paddock and plug in.
And you
get
can
nice
move
and cool.
around. It's long enough. Yeah. It's a good way to be able to like rest your body and cool down after you get out of the car. It's great.
Yep.
I've seen the principle applied, like with basically it was a giant for like the size of your food cooler with multiple plugs, but not with an air conditioner integrated into it, which is Chris Egan level of brilliance.
Yeah, it's so simple and effective and reasonable. You just got to put the pieces all together, and it works great.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. I feel like this whole episode is sort of just the tip because we're just trying to keep you cool, man.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
sounds good to me.
The tip is do whatever you can to not get overheated while you're in the race car.
Don't underestimate that.
Get out of the race car.
Just this recent exercise that I was working, they had an air conditioner malfunction on one of the fighter planes that was taken off from a southwestern desert location. And as they're going out there, the pilot said, all right, I can't do this. Turned around, headed back. Their wingman went with them and said, I got you. And they're like, no, you just got it. And as the wingman is listening to the flight lead, 2-ship flight lead, deal with air traffic control, realizes their brain's not working right. Takes over the radios, puts them on final, gets them on final. And at this point, the pilot is slurring. Blah, 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 blah. They roll the ambulance that meets the fighter plane, stop it on the runway, and immediately jab an IV in the arm. It can happen just that quickly. You're wearing a Nomex outfit. It doesn't breathe. You're in a environment making 400 watts, and your normal body temperature is 98.6 before it's 105 degrees outside. So, yes. Do what you need to do. Stay cool. Just don't make your own shirt because it's not going to work.
Learn from our mistakes, right? Right. Yep. When you're starting out, it seemed like a good idea, but learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yep. Great. What are we doing next week?
Thanks for doing all this research. You guys did a lot.
Yeah, Tim, dude, fantastic.
Yeah, Tim, thank you.
Chris, I love all the part numbers. I had never heard of this. The McMahon people, they're McMaster-Carr.
McMaster?
That's
You've
also
never
like
heard of McMaster?
How are you living? What?
Seriously,
I'm obviously living inferior.
Yeah, you were going to find all kinds of things where I never knew I could buy that. Oh,
right?
Great.
Yes.
Like, I've needed that. I've fashioned that because I thought that nobody sold something.
Just like the fiberglass episode, for a month afterwards, all of my YouTube ads were from the boat people. Now I'll start getting, and I'm okay. I'm down for it. I'm here for it.
You'll need it. There's so much there. It goes on the catalog because we get it at work and we order stuff from, like, the catalog is the size of your head. Like, it honestly, like, it is that big because they just sell so much stuff. Anyway,
this is one of that's way better online because of the filters that Tim talked about.
Completely agreed. I'm just saying that's why it's how many things that they have. They should totally sponsor us. Hashtag. Anyway, let's talk about next week. So we're going to talk about Road America. 3 of us have driven it. 1 of us have raced it. Lemons has had there.
2 of Chrissy, you and I raced it. Technically, it was 1 lap.
Apparently,
so 3
I called that driving because it wasn't wheel to wheel, but yes,
sure.
I mean, I was driving on track with other people. 2 actually, and it was documented, and other people were on the track at the same time, so kind of wheel to wheel. Anyway, what next time that they're going, one of us are going to race it, one of us is going to judge it. So hopefully you'll join us for a track walk and learn about the track and why we love it.
Okay, I'm basically looking at all of you to teach me about this track. So yeah,
okay.
I've never
Good.
been.
Yep, get ready to do your taxes on the straight.
And IMSA was just there 2 weeks ago, I think. So there's a really cool race on. You can probably watch a replay of that on their website. So check out the IMSA race at Road America. Great,
Absolutely.
It was a great
IMSA
race.
GTP cars, NA Miata,
Yep.
Same, exactly the same.
Same.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Same.
Not at all. Okay.
All right. Stand by. Thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you will join us in the world of driving, racing, building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. You can go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hated us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop us a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text pictures of your junk to me at 484-243-0455. Find us on Instagram at everyone.racers, YouTube and Facebook under Everyone Racers, and even Reddit at /E1R. Thanks again. Until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless, like us, there is no shiny side, then just keep those wheels down.